Good evening. I'm Jim Hunt, the mayor of Belle Meade. Welcome, Belle Meade residents, to the second virtual town hall titled Belmeed Together Plan Discovery. If you have any questions as we move through the presentation, use the Q&A function to submit those questions. The presentation tonight, along with your questions, should focus on the master plan. If you have other suggestions or questions not related to the master plan, send them directly to the city manager or to the department head responsible, but not using the Q&A function button. First, let me introduce tonight's presenters. With Kimberly Horn, who is our consultant, is Kevin Tilbury, project manager, Rachel Robinson, deputy project manager, Terrence Hill, transportation engineer, and Liz Tufnell, landscape architect. Steve Casey is Belmeed Stormwater consultant, but he's also working with Kimberly Horn. Representing the city of Belmeed is Beth Reardon, our city manager, Lyle Patterson, our assistant city manager and zoning and codes director, and commissioner and chairperson for Belmeed Together, Louise Bryan. Let's move it on down the highway, as the late Jim Croce sang in the early 70s. However, Belmeed doesn't have a highway, but we do have avenues, drives, boulevards, streets, lanes, a terrace, a place, a center, a hill. Let's move into the presentation. Louise, take it from here.
Good evening. Thank you, Jim. Many of you participated in the 2019 citizen survey and remember this slide. If we can go to the first slide, from the virtual town hall held in October 2020. A combination of factors, including the fast pace of growth in Nashville, the increase in volume and speed of traffic, and the desire to live in the beautiful and safe neighborhood we call home, have contributed to a need for a plan to address issues of walkability, traffic calming, beautification, branding, and stormwater management. This plan is called Belmeed Together. These overlapping issues contribute to the characteristics which create the Belmeed experience and make Belmeed the park-like neighborhood it was intended to be. These quality of life priorities are designed to preserve, protect, and enhance Belmeed. The Project Kickoff. The master plan project is resident driven, which means the ideas and concepts come from residents. In order to engage residents, we hosted a series of events to promote discussion and ideas. COVID did not stop us. Over 120 residents attended the virtual town hall last year. Many questions were answered live and later in emails. We held 2 Meet the Team days on a Sunday afternoon at St. George's, as well as on Election Day morning. Both times, residents had a chance to provide ideas, ask questions, and give feedback. We also held 2 listening sessions, which were held at Belmy Historic Site. We presented examples about how to use the website to give feedback on what you want to see in your neighborhood. The website, which is live today, has been the focal point of communication, but we've also compiled feedback in person from direct emails and phone calls. Right now, my phone is blowing up with text right now, so engagement never ends. It's still happening. In order to help us know more about how you participated in the kickoff, will you please answer the following poll question? How did you participate in the Belmeed Together kickoff? Check all that apply. Did you attend the virtual town hall? Did you attend a listening session and/or meet the team day? Did you visit the Belmeed Together website, or did you not have a chance to participate? We'll give it another couple seconds. Okay, thank you. That's great. So most people use the website. That's wonderful. That's great. And then we have a really good amount that did attend the town hall and the listening session. Great. Thank you. Thanks for that. Well, summary feedback from the website and other engagement revealed some of the hotspots in Belmead. And we know these to be Belmeed Boulevard, Lynnwood Boulevard, Harding Place, and Jackson Boulevard. This is why the website addresses these areas with some recommendations, which include options and considerations. Also, this is the reason that the 2 traffic calming demonstration projects just recently completed were on Jackson and Lynnwood. It's really important to note and to continue to remember that the Belmy Together Master Plan is a series of recommendations. No decisions have been made. No decisions can be made. No decisions will be made until residents share their feedback. Please feel confident in the process and the work that's been completed when evaluating the options on the website. Please feel obligated to be part of the process. We really want to hear from you. I want to spend a moment to talk about the approach and philosophy. We took a long time on this because we wanted to get it right, and we spent an extensive amount of dialogue in the community out and about. I hope that we can agree that the master plan is working to protect, preserve, prepare, and enhance what draws people to the city of Belmead. These are the guiding principles. These guiding principles form the outline for what's called a strategy toolkit. This strategy toolkit is a document which is on the website, and these are the actual design principles which are agreed upon to reflect the approach and the philosophy of the Belmy Together Master Plan. We want the infrastructure of our city to represent the mission of our city, that Belmead is safe and beautiful. So basically, the guiding principles are this. The first one is that less is more. We want Belmead to have very understated design treatments. We want the design treatments to blend seamlessly with the surrounding landscape. We want the streets to serve as places. We don't want a bunch of asphalt just for cars. We want the streets to be a bridge between the public and private realm where people can really interact with their environment. We want speed to be fundamental. This is critical. We know that speed is the #1 determining factor in safety. It's also the #1 determining factor in the perception of safety. Do people feel safe walking down the street? Metro has recently adopted a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit for residential streets. It doesn't mean that Belmead has to follow suit, but it does mean that the streets of Leek, Westover, Trimble, Lynnwood, Iroquois, and Sunnybrook in Metro will go down to 25 miles an hour. In the recommendations, Kimberly Horn has recommended that Belmead adopt those streets to 25 miles an hour as well, just to let you know. And finally, the guiding principles should be integrated and creative. The solutions should integrate more than one strategy so that multiple objectives can be achieved. We'll see this with 2 examples, but basically, a median island can be a gateway to the city. These things should be elegant for an elegant Belmead. It should encourage appropriate motor vehicle speeds. It should provide a safe crossing location for pedestrians, and it should incorporate stormwater management. All of these things taken together are the strategies. All of these things are part of the toolkit, and they are being recommended to be applied across the entire city. Another image shows the traffic median. This is a landscaped traffic median with gateway signage in Belmead stone. This stone is recommended because it currently exists in Belmead. Now, the actual sign may not be the exact design, but some of the materials would be what the recommendations are. The median creates a more narrow lane to slow down traffic. The lane still accommodates emergency vehicles. I share these 2 because these were 2 of the demonstration projects, and I just wanted you to see the design principles in a real beautiful context. Hopefully by now we've encouraged some questions. I hope that you'll use the chat function, the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to start populating some questions, and we're happy to answer at the end of the discussion. I'll now turn it over to Beth to talk about what's actually in the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise, and good evening, everybody. I'm going to talk about what's in the plan, our first ever master plan for the city of Belmead. The plan provides a unique opportunity to tie all the elements together into a single vision and plan for our city's future. Belmead Together includes over 40 recommendations to preserve, protect, and enhance our city for generations to come. You can view the recommendations on the project website, which can be found on the city website at www.citybelmead.org. Belmead residents overwhelmingly indicated they desire streets that are safe for walking and cycling, allowing them to safely reach destination points such as the Belmead Club or Palmer Park or the historic site, to visit friends and neighbors, or just to enjoy being outside safely. The plan recommendations include strategies such as sidewalks, trails, and crossing treatments to make walking and cycling more safe and comfortable, and places a priority on completing critical gaps in the existing sidewalk network, such as Lynnwood Boulevard and along Harding Pike between Belmeed Boulevard and Lynnwood Boulevard. Directly connected to safe pedestrian use of the streets is the idea of incorporating traffic calming strategies to slow down vehicles as they pass through Belmead. Belmead Together recommends medians, chicanes, intersection treatments, turn restrictions, and other strategies to encourage appropriate motor vehicle speeds, manage our traffic flow, and enhance Belmead's brand as a neighborhood, not a thoroughfare. Critical needs such as speeding on Lynnwood Boulevard and non-local traffic on Jackson Boulevard are prioritized. When people enter our city limits, they should immediately be made aware that they are in a different, distinct, and beautiful place. This can be accomplished by incorporating consistent signage and landscaping elements throughout the city, especially at main gateway entrances to Belmead. The plan encourages safe and inviting places for neighbors to spontaneously gather and enjoy life together. Creative use of stormwater management tools such as bioswales, level spreaders, and pervious pavers will address long-standing drainage issues within the city. If you have questions about this, please use the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen. And next up is Lyle, our Assistant City Manager and Building Codes Official.
Thank you, Beth. I want to talk briefly about putting the plan into action. This past week on April 28th, 2 traffic calming demonstrations were temporarily placed on Lynnwood and Jackson Boulevard. In the 400 block of Lynnwood Boulevard, chicanes were laid out to help in traffic calming due to high volume and speed. Now, chicane is a curve that creates a natural horizontal shift that requires vehicles to approach slowly, yet to yield to oncoming traffic. These chicanes can also provide opportunities for landscaping and bioswales along with drainage. Before the chicanes in the northbound lane, the average speed was close to 30 miles per hour. And during the week-long demonstration, the speed actually dropped to 26 miles per hour with a total volume of over 15,000 vehicles just in the northbound lane. In the southbound lane, the speed was actually reduced to 20 miles per hour. The total vehicle volume in the time frame was over 27,000 cars on Lynnwood Boulevard. In the 200 block of Jackson Boulevard, a traffic median was laid out, which helps traffic to slow by slightly narrowing the lane, as well as the future of promoting gateway branding of the city within the median. Sidewalks are another topic. There are several sidewalk gaps within the city, one of which is in front of City Hall. Belmy Together is looking into closing that gap by connecting the end of Belmeed Boulevard at Harding Road to the shopping district in Greenway, just on the other side of Lynnwood Terrace and Hillwood Boulevard. Lynnwood Terrace itself has a sidewalk gap, and it needs a continuous connection from Lynnwood Boulevard to the Harding intersection. Some of the highlights of Belmy Together are traffic and pedestrian hotspots, including the lower Jackson Boulevard with a left turn restriction on the Harding Road, the ever confusing four-way intersection of Lynnwood Boulevard at Harding Place, and Belmeed Boulevard, allowing a left turn on the Harding Road. So I'd like to remind you to please take part in the question and answer function. And now I'd like to turn it over to Kevin Tilbury of Kimley Horn. Kevin?
Thanks, Lyle, and Beth and Louise and Mayor for your presentations today. And I'd like to thank the residents for coming and participating in the town hall tonight too. So what you're hearing tonight is really just a snapshot of the plan. We want to provide several opportunities for you all to get involved in the plan and to learn more about it. So I'm going to tell you about some opportunities to do that. First is go on the website and explore there. We've put a lot of the material up on the website so you can go and explore. So go to the city's website, citybelmead.org, and you'll see an icon in the upper right hand part of the screen. Click on that, and that's going to take you to our project website. And so this is where you'll land when you go there. And you'll notice that there's a link that you can go to the Plan Discovery homepage. And this is where you can learn about the Belmead Together recommendations. The first thing that you'll come to is the design approach and philosophy that you heard Louise talk about earlier. So here's the strategy toolkit that she referred to. You can download it and look at it, and then you can learn more about some of the design approach and philosophy. Next, you heard Beth talk about the plan recommendations. So you can click here and learn more about the plan recommendations, highlighted by an interactive map. So if you click there, it brings you to this map where you can click on locations throughout the city and learn more about what we've recommended. And then further down, you can learn more specifically about how we're addressing walking, cycling, traffic calming, stormwater, beautification, public spaces, all those things. And then there are a few areas in the city that we felt deserved a little more attention because they are frequently the subject of conversation, especially during the kickoff phase of the project. And those two areas are Belmeed Boulevard and the intersection of Lynnwood Boulevard and Harding Place that Lyle referred to earlier. So we provided a more in-depth discussion of possible concepts for these two locations, and you can learn more about it by going to the website and clicking here. And then finally, once you've learned about the plan, we would love for you to take the survey. So at the bottom, there's a link and it'll bring up a survey, and you can respond to Belmead Together to tell us what you think about the plan. That's the website. Now, that's not all. We also have a number of opportunities for you to get involved in person. We want to continue the discussion. First of all, this Saturday, really exciting event. From 8 a.m. to noon, Chief Williams and the police department are going to temporarily block off the inside lane of Belmeed Boulevard from Harding Place to the park. And that's going to provide a space for you, your neighbors, your dog, your kids to go out and enjoy the boulevard in a safe way. We'll put down the cones at 8 and pull them back up at noon. Next, St. George's Episcopal Church has started their farmers market again. We're going to be out there next Thursday, May 13th from 3:30 to 5. We'll have a booth. You can come out and meet us, have a personal conversation about the plan, and learn more about it in detail. So that's one opportunity to meet us. Another is a listening session, just like we had it at kickoff at the mansion that night, Thursday, May 13th from 5:30 to 6:30. There is an ability to pre-register. It's not required, but we highly encourage it because space is limited. So if you go to the website, you can sign up for it there. And then finally, the following Saturday, we're going to block the portion of Belmeed Boulevard from Jackson Boulevard to Harding Place. And we're going to be there. So the Belmead Together team will be in the median just south of Leak Avenue, right there by Palmer Park. And you can come and meet we'll set up in the median. You can come meet the team and learn more about the plan there as well. So we provided a number of opportunities for you to get engaged, visit the website, but also come and have a more in-depth conversation with the team in person at one of those locations. And then finally, I'd like to, just kind of let you know where we are in the process. So we talked about kickoff, that was in the fall. And then since that time, the team has been focused on the development of the plan. And that brings us to where we are right now. This is the draft plan. As Louise mentioned, no decisions have been made. This is a draft plan that we want you to explore and respond to. And then once we've heard your comments, we'll finalize the plan, probably later this spring and into the summer. And then we'll go into the implementation phase. And that's when we'll actually work to get some of these recommendations implemented. So that's sort of where we're headed. So I see there are a number of questions that have already appeared in the Q&A. We encourage you to put some more in. I'm sure you have plenty of questions by now. So at this point, we're going to stop talking. I'm going to ask our team to come off of mute, and we're going to start to address your questions. So that's the project team, myself, Liz Tufnell, who's our landscape architect, Terrence Hill, who's our transportation engineer, and Steve Casey, who's our water resources engineer, as well as the folks that you've already heard from. We're going to now come off of mute and start to answer your questions. So folks, if you could. And Rachel, I'm going to ask you then to start to read off the questions.
Thank you, Kevin. So hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Robinson. I am working with Kevin as a deputy project manager on the Belmead Together Master Plan. And I'm going to go ahead and start listing off some of the questions that you guys already have. So question number one, would the example entrances shown in the example street illustration be at every entry to Belmead?
I'll start with that and then ask Kevin to pop in. No, not necessarily. On the website, there are gateway entrances delineated, but again, less is more. We would not have every single entrance with monument landmarks. I think they are on the website as, Kevin, are there 4 or 5 main entrances with monuments?
That's correct. That's about right. Yes. So let me bring up. Yeah. So as you and this is a map that you can view on the website. We have what are called primary gateways and then secondary gateways. So and those are delineated on the map. You can see them. And then if you look in the strategy toolkit, it'll tell you a little bit more about those. But as Louise mentioned, not every entrance into the city would have the monument signage that you saw. In some cases, it might be landscaping, or it might be permeable pavers. It would be materials and plantings that are consistent with Belmead's look and feel, so that you know when you're leaving Metro and coming into Belmead that you're entering a very distinct space. And that's what the gateway treatments are. So the illustrations that Louise showed would probably be considered a primary gateway, and then a secondary gateway may be a little more subtle with use of materials and planting and things like that.
Thank you, Kevin. Question number 2, how long will the demonstration traffic calming measures be in place as demonstrations? The chicanes were not up very long. You could not see them today. If the boulevard is to be made single lanes, please block those lanes for at least 2 weeks while school is in session, so that the result of traffic flow and possible traffic jams can be experienced and understood.
Okay, 2 parts. The first part is that the demonstration projects on Lynnwood and Jackson were intended for 7 days. So they were taken down today. They were intended to be short-term in nature and low cost and easily reversible, and they met all those. There's no recommendation to take Belmeed Boulevard to a single lane necessarily, but there is a option to transition the left lane more for more significant turning and passing only. Kevin, more professional industry expertise about the length of a demonstration project?
So a week, and I'll let Terrence chime in as well. So we left the demonstration projects up for a week by design, because typically that's enough to get an adequate sample, and by then the drivers have become accustomed to it. So that would generally be the rule of thumb. We could leave it up longer if that's desired, but a week is typically sufficient to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have another question, Rachel?
Yes. Next question. How would I vote against the chicane plan for Lynnwood and Jackson?
Okay. We're not taking votes on individual projects per se. The philosophy behind the master plan is to have an holistic approach, and that's where the strategy toolkit comes in. Everything in plan discovery is designed to garner and generate feedback. So anything you want to share with us about your like or dislike can be shared in an email, on the website, or in any of the opportunities that Kevin outlined, as far as coming to the listening session, coming to the St. George's Farmers Market, or coming to Belmeed Boulevard. Again, the website's open right now, but we're not voting on specific issues. Belmeed is chartered as a commissioner, city manager city. That's how we're run. So we don't vote on individual projects in the referenda style form of government.
Thank you, Louise. Next question. Wouldn't setting the speed limit throughout the city be a useful first step to safety? Why, for example, is Westview not being considered for 25 miles an hour?
Well, I think Westview is being considered for 25 miles per hour because part of Westview is part of the metro residential adoption to 25 miles per hour. And I believe that Kimley Horn has that as one of the streets recommended to go down to 25 miles per hour.
That's correct. I'm going to share my screen again. And so if you go to the website and you click on design approach and philosophy, so one of the things that we did at the very beginning was, make decisions about speeds on the street. And if you go to that page, you'll see a map. So we have made recommendations citywide for speed. And so you can go and take a look. And so here's, as you can see, here's Westview. And so so that's a green, which means the emphasis on Westview is people and pedestrians. So we're recommending a target speed of 20 to 25 miles per hour. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Next question. Was the speed limit reduced because of the demonstration projects or the police being in place, or people were just confused about the new setup? And I'm assuming that's referring to, Louise, what you were talking about with the reduced speed limits potential in Belmy, potentially adopting those, and then the Lynnwood demonstration project.
I think they're talking about the demonstration project. Mm-hmm. So there are two things. Metro has adopted a 25 miles per hour speed limit on metro residential streets. That has nothing to do with the demonstration projects that we conducted last week on Lynnwood and Jackson. So I'll just separate Metro's decision from what we did. On Lynnwood, what Lyle talked about, we did just today get those results in from Chief, and we believe that the chicane did result in that reduction in traffic. The police were there for a short amount of time on that first day and subsequent days. They were not there the whole time. They were there in the beginning to direct traffic because it is a new design element. And for this, for safety, we wanted to be sure people understood how to use it. But chicanes are widely used traffic calming devices used all over the world, all over the United States. We had a very rainy week to test this out, and there was definitely some other issues going on last week, but chicanes are used widely and are very effective. So we do think it was the design of the test that slowed down traffic.
Thank you, Louise. Next, we have, it doesn't look like a question, but a comment. So this person said, you can't lessen the cars. Most of this traffic is Belmead residents making multiple trips. I also would make note that you said traffic calming was most wanted, but your own chart showed it was second to last.
Okay. Some of that is anecdotal. We do know that volume has increased. We do know that Amazon now delivers 7 days a week. We do have actually crash data from the Belmead Police Department from 2015, which shows an increase in the volume of total crashes and crashes with injuries. So it can certainly be Belmead residents, but we do believe that based on what the police are telling us and the crash data, that as well as with applications like Waze, more people are cutting through Belmead as well. I think there's a little anecdotal information in there. We also have some statistical data which would contribute some other stats otherwise as well. And then as far as people wanting traffic calming second to last, I'd have to go back to that to see that. I think that people wanting traffic calming and people wanting a safe place to walk kind of create a false survey. There's something called that. Terrence, is there a way to talk about, people wanting traffic calming versus people wanting a safe place to walk, and how that can be weighed effectively?
I think they can kind of go hand in hand. I mean, I think the different elements that we provide out on the street definitely, again, like you said, slows traffic down, which provides a safe space for individuals maybe walking along the curve or along yards or even in the street, for example, if there's no sidewalks. I think just kind of touching back on the chicanes that we put out there, because I was out there the first day and helped lay them out. We tried to make sure that they were in a location where you could see, the tight distance from each direction was definitely a concern. Not having them in front of driveways is also a concern. But again, just those different measures of just kind of slowing traffic down, making sure that, people are constantly looking. I think if you kind of have straight streets that don't have any kind of elements in them, they typically encourage people to speed. And so again, if you have neighborhood streets that are, for people to walk on or get their mail or, just different things, the traffic calming devices that we kind of put out there, I think definitely play to that. And they can also be, aesthetically pleasing as well. They don't necessarily have to be, just some I guess monstrosity, if you will, but definitely can be played up to look, and as an element that fits with the characteristics of the neighborhood.
I think so too. People respond more favorably to a change in the road because they don't realize that it's actually a traffic calming device versus a speed table or delineators. They react more positively to a landscape design. We've read a lot about this and had these studies done, and that's another reason why we think it's a more positive element.
And I'll add, Louise, to your point, the reason that we keep talking about speed, if everyone can see my screen, can everyone see the chart that I have up? Mm-hmm. So this is, when we talk about creating safe places for people, 30 miles an hour is a magic number. At 40 miles an hour, your chances of surviving a crash with a car are about 20%. And then at 30 miles an hour, it's 60%. But once you get below 30 miles an hour, the chances increase significantly. So in order to create safe streets for people, it's essential that we get vehicle speeds below 30 miles an hour. And it really comes down to this. Do we want Belmead streets to be places for people, or we want them to be places to move cars as quickly as possible? And I think everyone here would agree with me. It's the former, not the latter. And so, you know, we can't tell you not to come through Belmead, but what we can tell you is if you are going to come through Belmead, this is a family, you know, this is a neighborhood. You're going to drive slowly and you're going to respect, you know, our speeds. And we're using the different elements of the master plan to achieve that goal. What's our next question, Rachel?
We've got a couple of questions about this. What is the difference between a recommendation and a decision, and who will be making the final decisions on what recommendations are accepted and implemented?
Well, a recommendation is something that is being considered. A decision is something that has already been decided. Sorry, that's not very good. This is a conversation. Again, we are not voting on specific single ideas. We are trying to provide enough outlets for conversation, discussion, and we hope that you will come forward and use the many opportunities for a constellation of issues and let us know your thoughts and feedback. This is the ultimate government transparency, and we hope that you feel obligated to participate.
Great. Next question. Have you had any conversations with Metro about improvements they could make in the commercial district on 70 South that would connect with the improvements we might make on Harding past the historic site up to I-70 South?
We've talked to Councilman Druffel and Councilmember Angie Henderson in the past. They know we're working on this plan, and they're very pleased that we're looking at this from a very strategic standpoint. But basically, there have been some issues about the turn lane onto Leak, which we're hoping people will use more as the right turn only is implemented on Jackson. If you can picture that, there's actually a left turn lane onto Leak from Harding, which is a safer way to turn off of Harding than to turn onto Jackson off of Harding. But I don't know if Tom Druffel's on this call or not, but he's our Metro Council person, and he would be the one to be involved.
Great. Next question. Have you considered a four-way stop at Lynnwood and Iroquois and a crosswalk? And in addition, a crosswalk at Harding Place and Westview?
We have considered a crosswalk at Harding Place and Westview. I felt like that was one of the recommendations. I'll have to look at that. If not, I know we've talked about that in the past. It's come up many times. And then a four-way stop on Lynnwood. Lynnwood continues to be a street that's being evaluated for medians and crosswalks. I don't know if it would be exactly at Lynnwood and Iroquois, the end of my street. But I believe, Kevin, there's several opportunities in the recommendations. There's several opportunities for medians and crosswalks on Lynnwood.
That's correct. So I'm sharing my screen again. And if you go to plan recommendations, this map will come up. I'm not going to have any spoilers tonight. I'm going to let you go and you can click on it and see what the recommendations are for yourself. But I will tell you, yes, we have made recommendations for that intersection. And I'll let you go and explore it for yourself.
Stay tuned. Okay, let me get back to my screen here. Next question. Did you receive any positive feedback on the chicane located on Lynnwood Boulevard for the demonstration project?
I can speak. I did get a few emails that were positive. I probably got a few more that were negative, but doesn't necessarily mean everybody felt that way. That we did have several people that say they did like it and they did feel that it definitely slowed traffic down. So they were pleased.
Thank you, Beth.
Mm-hmm.
The next question, how can we support the sidewalk endeavor on Lynnwood?
Well, I would say that you can take part in any and all of the opportunities outlined on this call, including going first to the website right now, taking part in the survey. The last question on the survey is a 1,000 character opportunity to contribute to any of your opinions at that plate. In that area, you can say you want a sidewalk on Lynnwood. You can also come to the listening session and talk about it. You can also come to meet the team day in 3 weeks on Belmeed Boulevard, or come to any of the listening sessions.
Thank you, Louise. The next question, can a median be used as a demonstration project on Lynnwood?
I think it can be. I think it can be. I don't know that we would test another demonstration project there, but I know that there is enough right away in certain parts of that street to have a median. And that's something that, again, spoiler, I think there are a few of those recommended on the website right now for Lynnwood. Lynnwood's a very straight street, and that's where I got my ticket. It's a fun place to think about speeding or forgetting what the speed limit is. And it's a natural place to put a little bit of a commotion so that you're forced to slow down. So yes, you could put a median in Lynnwood.
Let me add to what the previous question about sidewalks. I think if you use the Harding Place sidewalks as a good example, that became a neighborhood project. So the neighborhood all together created a tremendous amount of interest in having sidewalks. And I think that would, using the neighborhood watch would be a great way to get something started if you wanted to consider sidewalks for certain sections of Lynnwood too. So
it's a good point.
Thank you, Mayor. The next question, how many taxpayers are in the city of Belmead?
Beth?
well,
under
I can say,
3,000. Well,
all of them are.
The population is just under 3,000. Now that includes children, so they're not taxpayers. But we have about 1,150 residences in Belmead, so maybe that helps.
The properties, the residential properties all pay property taxes. Some of our, what that would be called commercial properties do not. The churches do not pay property taxes, nor does, well, I guess it's just the churches.
Just the churches, right?
Churches.
Next question, any plans for reducing cut-through speeds? Specifically, an example is Jackson and Glen Eden.
Everything we're doing, we're trying to cut down on the cut through and the speeds. Absolutely, yes.
Next question, have speed bumps been used as a potential recommendation for Lynnwood?
It's not in our toolkit. Speed bumps, speed humps, speed tables, any kind of asphalt on asphalt is not in our toolkit. We look towards doing things like the chicanes and the center medians, possibly a roundabout here and there that are landscaped beautifully and usually edged with pavers or stone, something attractive that slows down traffic and adds to the beauty of the city.
Next question, would increased police ticketing reduce people cutting through Belmead?
Absolutely, but the volume of the amount of volume of cars in Belmead can't be ticketed away. And I've had the chance to speak to Chief about this on many occasions, and it's just not something that the police can police. We want the police to be part of our community. We don't want them hiding in driveways giving tickets all the time. Historically, Belmead's had a great reputation as having some speed traps, and that's been wonderful for the for the residents and for people who travel the same streets every day and who know that, and that will change behavior of the same residents who travel the streets. But for Uber driver and Amazon drivers and Uber Eats drivers, they're cutting through different times, and so you're not changing their behavior by just giving a ticket to one person once a week. And you really have to change the design of the street in order to change the behavior of the driver.
What is the time frame for the commission to consider the recommendations? In other words, when will a vote be taken?
Well, we have, we're keeping this open right now. I would say, Kevin, you had kind of laid out, so we have the month of May, the month of June, as far as engagement and feedback. And one of the things that the recommendations do is prioritize things in terms of short-term, medium-term, and long-term. We've already identified some things that we believe are very short-term, and we're moving ahead on those. That would include the right turn only on Jackson Boulevard. That would include allowing the left turn on Belmeed Boulevard. Both of those are designed to better distribute traffic on those streets. These were things that were already studied before the master plan began, and we felt confident about continuing with those. Sidewalk gaps that we have, existing gaps that finishing the gaps could make a real high impact with some pedestrian ways or some things that are short term. So we do have things allocated as short term, medium term, and long term. But I'd say the next 2 months, the next month for sure, we really want residents to be part of this and give us ideas and feedback.
And Louise, I'll add too, this is not a single, point in time. This is a long, as Louise mentioned, this is a long-range plan. And so this is a framework for the city to plan, for the future, for budgeting, to approach Metro. We heard about, Highway 70 South. The master plan is a great tool for us to approach Metro and coordinate with them on improvements. It puts the city in an excellent position to pursue grant funding to get some of the projects implemented. And this is a framework to guide that decision-making process over the next several decades, not just, what's going to happen within the next few months, but over the next several decades.
Thank you, Kevin. The next question, the curved median at West Hampton and Lynnwood Terrace definitely slows vehicles down. Are there any plans for any more curved medians?
Absolutely. That curved median serves as a precedent imagery in the toolkit, quite frankly. And it's one of the things we hope to be a repetitive structure in Belmead. It works. It works very effectively and beautifully. And I think we hope to see it more used throughout the city.
Next question. You alluded to crash data. How many crashes have happened in this area?
We don't have that data tonight. You mean at West, I'm assuming they're meeting at West Hampton and Lynnwood? We would have to get the chief to check on that.
I don't see an exact area listed.
Yeah. Perhaps they could email me with the specific area that they're interested in, and we can come up with the crash data from the police department. Happy to do it.
We have it for Belmead. We don't have it by street. We have it for Belmead by year.
But I think in the database that the police department has, they can do it by street if that's
okay.
Requested. So.
And the next question, can we limit the size and weight of trucks on Belmeed Boulevard?
The weight is already limited, I believe, by signage. But we can limit it somewhat. I do know that. We cannot limit all trucks, certainly. It is a 4-lane boulevard, so it will accommodate larger vehicles, whereas some of the smaller neighborhood streets, yes, we could be more restrictive on the size and weight of trucks, but it's kind of difficult on a 4-lane boulevard like Belmeed Boulevard to put a lot of heavy restrictions. But certainly we'd like to do as much as we can as far as limitations.
Also, there's been so much construction work taking place at Belmeed Club that there were a lot of heavy trucks that were using the boulevard and Harding Place. I think that construction is wrapped up now. So the really heavy trucks maybe not as a problem right now, but there are a lot of landscaping trucks. There are some lightweight trucks too. So we really can't manage that, can't control that.
Correct.
Thank you, Mayor. If speed bumps are not in the toolkit, will they be removed from Jackson Boulevard?
The goal is, I believe, Mayor, you need to chime in here. This was before my time. The goal is to remove those speed bumps on Jackson Boulevard. They were initially put in as temporary speed bumps while the bridge was under construction. They stayed in longer because they were found to be effective. They have been, the residents continue to find fault with the speed bumps, but they have been very effective, so they remained in. Now, my understanding is that once we decide on another traffic calming measure, we did test a median on that street. We're also testing a right turn only on that street. I think the goal is to remove those speed bumps. Jim, can you talk about that?
I think that with the left turn off of Belmeed Boulevard onto Highway 70 could help, and also the right turn only off of Jackson onto Highway 70 should really help that. Well, we have to wait and see.
Thank you, Mayor. Next question, are you considering a traffic signal at Leek and Harding Road?
That wouldn't be our responsibility.
That's not our intersection.
Metro.
Metro.
Well, it's not really, it's really more of Department of Transportation, the state.
That's true for Highway 70.
Mhm.
That we have recommended gateway treatments at that location. So we're not going to make decisions about signalization, but there will be some enhancements as people come into Belmead.
There have been discussions about that, but it's really not part of Belmead together.
Thank you, guys. The next question, how do you allocate funding? Belmead can't fund all of this, so how would decisions be made as to how much money is spent on which projects?
I know it's really what we're going through right now. I'd love to hear more about what you think. And we'll be having a budget meeting at the end of this month. The date of that meeting will be on the website, which will be open to the public. We're at a interesting juncture in the city of Belmead. As all of you know, the hall tax is gone. And the city of Belmead will now have to fund itself through its reserve and through increased property taxes. So this is a time of great discussion about investment and property tax. We will have to make decisions about what's important in the near term and in the long term. Obviously, not all of this will be funded. It is a long-term plan. This plan will bring us from year 1 to year 25 or year 30. And that's why it's so important to understand what's important to the residents. So I don't have a magic answer. We are formulating next year's budget right now. We're looking at the tax rate right now. All these things are happening. All these things are happening right in front of you in open meetings. And I hope that you'll take the time and interest to attend.
Thank you, Louise. Next question, can the security cameras on Lynnwood be legally used to spot speeders and automatically send tickets? And that could be used as a method.
That's not a function of those cameras to actually determine speed. If it was, we still wouldn't be able to use it to enforce. Where the cameras are a deterrent, if nothing else. We hope that it does calm speed, but we also think it's going to deter crime. which I think is even a bigger issue.
Another question, would it be simpler to have all streets in Belmead one speed limit, especially the side streets?
No, not really. It seems that would be the right thing to do, but actually different streets need to be different speed limits. And you don't want people to get angry. Terrence, will you take that? Different streets, different speed limits, please?
Yeah, I think to your point, basically, different streets have different, characteristics, and, neighborhood streets shouldn't be treated the same as a, 4-lane highway, for example. So I think you end up causing people to probably speed on streets that invite them to go faster, given the cross section of the roadway. And so that's probably not something that you want to have just uniformity throughout the city. So it definitely needs to fit the character of the road.
Next question. Lynnwood has been talked about quite often. Are stop signs a suggested recommendation?
Stop signs are actually safety measures, not speed measures. I think there are opportunities for small roundabouts in certain sections, but stop signs create. Terrence, you'll have to take this one as well. Sorry, I'm beyond my expertise.
No, you're good. No,
Sorry.
You said it perfectly well. I mean, the Federal Highway Administration basically says the exact same thing. I mean, again, they're for safety. They're not for speed measures. Basically, what people will do, they'll either half stop if they know that a side street has like almost 2 cars a day. They'll do a rolling stop, basically. And so, you only want to use it at times where it definitely necessitates for you to come to a full, complete stop, as opposed to just doing it to make people stop, because they know that there's no cars on the side streets. So they'll speed through or they'll roll through the stop signs.
And I'll add, once again, if you go to the map, we have made recommendations for each intersection along Lynnwood. And then also we've developed some more specific concepts for the intersection of Lynnwood and Harding, which has long been a source of frustration for residents. We've heard many times from you all at Kickoff. So I encourage you to go to the website or to come see us in person, and we can talk more about these things.
The next question, there are some larger stormwater issues that are grandfathered in. Will these problems be corrected early in the process and before other issues are addressed?
I see Lyle going to unmute right
Go,
now.
Lyle.
Well, I was actually going to turn it over to Steve Casey. I know.
Yeah.
I don't think he's here.
Yeah, he's on here.
Okay.
Oh, he is on. Okay.
Yeah. Steve?
He says he can't unmute.
Oh, okay. Well,
Kevin, can you unmute him, Kevin?
I will.
Rachel, can you?
Let me try.
Hello?
There he goes.
here he is.
Thank you. Thank you. So the question was about grandfathered issues that had been, would they be brought up to the kind of the forefront to get addressed?
Yes, that's correct, Steve.
We talked about several items through this whole process and tried to bring those to be part of the discussion, but we've addressed several things over the years. So I think overall the city's in a good spot with that. I know there's still lingering issues out there, but in as much as we could solve a traffic problem and a stormwater problem in one project,
Muted again.
There he goes.
okay. Not sure what happened there.
Rachel got the magic button, I think.
Okay.
That was my fault.
Oh, that's okay. So I'm not sure where I got left off, but what I was saying was that in as much as we can do a traffic project that also solves a stormwater issue, that would certainly float to the top of the list. Just to give an example. I don't know specifically what sort of projects you're talking about, but there's several instances where we identified stormwater issues as we went through this exercise.
And Steve, I'm sharing the screen. So if you go to the website and click on plan recommendations, there's a section for stormwater management. And if you scroll down to that section and you click on it, it'll bring up a map, and it will show you all the locations where we're recommending stormwater improvements. And you'll notice that they overlap with locations where we're recommending things like medians, chicanes, and traffic circles and things. It's because they're doing the same thing. So a median not only calms traffic and beautifies, but it also can serve as a stormwater management function too, do things like bioswales and things. So, yeah, I encourage you to go to the website and learn more detail about specific locations where we're recommending drainage improvements.
We would love to have those 3-for-1s where you can solve 3 problems with one project.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. So I think we've got time for one more question. I'll start out with the beginning of this, which was an observation. This person says, an observation that they saw in Lynnwood. Once cars went through the chicane, many accelerated with no regard for the speed limit. And many cars drove quickly through the chicane because they knew the car traveling in the opposite direction had yielded and was waiting for its turn. Would more than one chicane be installed to prevent cars from speeding once they've passed through the one chicane?
Probably so. Lynnwood is a very straight street. Again, it provides a lot of opportunity for people, for motorists wanting to speed, and yes, the demonstration project was a very unique project. Many people had never seen a chicane before. It was a very rainy week to test it. Some people didn't like it. It's all part of the test. But overall, the results showed that it did slow down traffic. But yes, to answer the question, that on a street like Lynnwood, it would be a series of traffic calming designs to slow down traffic on that street.
Thank you, Louise. And thank you all for submitting your questions. Anything that was not answered will be provided to the city, and city staff will be able to answer those questions through an email or some other means. But we appreciate all of your time and your questions tonight. And I'll turn it back over to Louise and the mayor, I believe, to close us out.
Jim.
Well, we just want to thank everybody. There was almost 60 people on the call tonight, and we appreciate your questions. It shows us a lot of interest. We've got a long way to go to get full support, so it's not over with. So bear with us, and we'll be communicating with you. And like Louise said, we want to be very transparent about what we're doing. Louise, you have any comments?
This is the beginning. Please join us on the journey over the next month and the next years. We really appreciate everything. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll make a recording of this available on the website as well.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kimberly Horn.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.